Shabbat shalom. How good to be here together. And how wonderful. Thank you all, for those in person, for wearing your masks. We so appreciate it. Up above your nose as well. And silence your phones. And hello to those at home, those on Zoom. We welcome you and we welcome each other. Say hello. Yeah. Tonight we're celebrating Shabbat by focusing on this year that we're in of Shemitah, the Shemitah year, this year where the ancient Israelites would every 7 years lay the land fallow and put their feet up after many years of working the land so hard. And in this time, they released debts, which we're going to be talking about a little later in a discussion. And they freed servants and slaves. And they focused on creating community together, which is connected always to Shabbat. And that's what we're here to do tonight. So we'll join, for those at home, get your candles ready as we light candles. And Amy, would you be willing to come up and light candles for us? Great. Okay. Please rise as we light candles. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Those at home, unmute yourselves. Wish each other Shabbat shalom. It's okay.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
We're going to turn to page
shalom.
16 in our Sidurim.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
I think folks in person, you're not used to seeing people.
Who's that?
Shabbat shalom, you know. It's our second for a couple of weeks. Yeah. Well, we're gonna start with Shalom Aleichem. Get used to saying shalom to each other. It's a good thing. So nice to be back in person and to have those joining us on Zoom. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ba'achem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let's turn to the bottom of page 30. Two lines from the bottom and in the transliteration. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishacharu le'har kodsho. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishacharu le'har kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romu. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu I'm going to turn to page 38 for Lecha Dodi. Dov, it's nice to be playing with you.
It's nice to be here.
So nice.
And I love your new haircut.
For those at home, he said he loves my new haircut if you didn't hear. Well, now I just have to convince Allison. Let's take a... Let's take a moment before we say Lecha Dodi to let go of the week. If for this first part of the service, your mind has been somewhere else, just find your breath. Center yourself. And let it go. Soften your shoulders. Soften your face. Bring in the joy of Shabbat. Let's take a deep breath together. And exhale. Shabbat, page 40, second to last stanza. Yamin usmol, tifrosi, bet Adonai talitzi. Al yamin ben parsi, ben ismecha, ben yagila, olecha Adoni, ikatala, b'nei Shabbat, bekabela, olecha Adoni, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Ohi v'shalom ateret bala, gam v'simcha ובצהולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, הולך אדוני, מכתלה, בני שבת נקבלה, הולך אדוני, בני שבת Stay standing as we turn to page 50 for the Baruch. We sing together. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Let's read together, Mari Varavim, Lord of night and day. Praised are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, whose word brings on the dusk of evening. Your wisdom opens the gates of dawn. Your understanding regulates time and seasons. The stars above follow their appointed rounds in response to your divine will. You create day and night. You alternate darkness and light. You remove the day and bring on the night. You separate one from the other. We call you Lord of heavenly hosts. You are our living God. May you rule over us as you rule over nature. Praised are you, O God, who brings the evening dusk. Amen. Page 52. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, והם נגע יומם ולילה, ועבדך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמי, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, Continue on our own 56 through 59, the rest of the Shema. Bottom of 58. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. Page 60, 6 lines from the bottom. Mi chamocha. Mi chamocha, ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha, nedar ba'kodesh. Dora tehilot, Dora tehilot, Dora tehilot, Osefet malchutecha, ra'u panecha, bokei hayam, lifnei Moshe. Adonai et Yaakov, galom yad chazak mimenu, baruch ata Adonai, gal Yisrael. Page 62. Let's read together to lie down in peace. Help us, O God, to lie down in peace and protect us with your love as we sleep. Lighten our burdens and soften our hurts. Restore our bodies and refresh our souls. May we rest secure and untroubled and arise with confidence to the challenges of a new day. O guardian of Israel, who neither slumbers nor sleeps, shelter us and our people in your tabernacle of peace. Ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha baruch ata Adonai apores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל, את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לכתוב בריתונה, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני, את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, את תורתם בריתונה. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת In a moment, we're going to launch into the Amidah, and we're going to take some time for quiet, reflective prayer. And in connecting to Shabbat and in connecting to Shemitah, I want to share with you this prayer that I sent out earlier today over email, a prayer written by Sarah Lurie, and it's called Spirituality. And if you haven't looked at that email, I invite you to look at that. And here is the poem. How often do we slow down, stop, truly take in the natural world, look outside ourselves to the wondrous gifts from God that are our guardians and mentors and friends in the journey through life. True spirit is all around. Lift up your head, breathe in deeply. Spirituality is the river of life, worthy of sacred honor. All life is connected. There is but one spirit. We are an inseparable part of the greater whole. That is the essential truth of our being. Our human endeavors are raised up when we are open, and we feel the spirit of the natural world flow through them. Give thanks to the trees and the plants that take in what we exhale and give life-sustaining oxygen back to us. Give thanks to the vegetation that feeds us and to the lakes, the mountains, and the heavens that nourish our minds, replenish our spirit, and ignite our awe and curiosity. To be one with nature is to be one with God, to connect with the source and force of life, to pray. We take a few moments in quiet prayer, the words of the page 69 through 76, and the words of the heart. As you're able, we rise. For those at home, I invite you to just take a moment away from your screen in deep prayer. Shalom bimrona, uyase shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ose shalom bimrona, uyase shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And so good to be here together again. For those at home, we just posted a source sheet that we're going to be looking at for our discussion. If you want to pull that up, you're welcome to. For those here, we're on number 4 of the sources, release of debt, which we're going to be looking at together. As we think about debt, what are the concerns? What are the thoughts that come up? I say the word debt, you think money. Folks at home for now, just put it in the chat box if you would. Your thoughts. We got money. What else? No need to raise your hand, just call it out.
Exploitation.
Exploitation. Congressional standoffs. Obligation. Is that what you said? What's that? Hardship. Emotional indebtedness. Ooh. Discord.
I mean, there's also when I tell my kids I carry them in my body for 9 months and days.
when you carry your children in your body and they, yeah, there's a lot of debt, karmic debt. Say the Shermans, karmic debt, and the Bruckner said moral obligation. Student loans. Okay. All right. So this is good. We're getting into thinking about debt. Our piece of Torah that we're going to be looking at from the book of Devarim, of Deuteronomy, the last book of the Torah, is all about debt and this 7th year that we spoke about, the 7th year, the Shemitah year, where a whole bunch of things happen. One of which is the release of debt. The other pieces are, again, laying the land fallow, not working the land. No one's allowed to work the land, just eating off of what is available and what you've stored up. The release of Israelite slaves and servants, and other pieces of the Shemitah. This one we're going to be looking at debt. So if you turn to the English, I'm gonna read it out loud here for us. Deuteronomy 15, and we had the Goldsteins write indebtedness to the care of others. Very nice. So Deuteronomy 15. Every 7th year you shall practice remission of debts. This shall be the nature of the remission. Every creditor shall remit the due that he claims from his fellow. He shall not dun his fellow or kinsman, for the remission proclaimed is of the Lord. If, however, there is a needy person among you, one of your kinsmen is in any of your settlements in the land that the Lord your God is giving you, do not harden your heart and shut your hand against your needy kinsman. Rather, you must open your hand and lend him sufficient for whatever he needs. Beware lest you harbor the base thought, the 7th year, the year of remission is approaching, so that you are mean to your needy kinsman and give him nothing. He will cry out to the Lord against you, and you will incur guilt. Give to him readily and have no regrets when you do so, for in return, the Lord your God will bless you in all your efforts and in all your undertakings. For there will never cease to be needy ones in your land, which is why I command you, open your hand to the poor and needy kinsmen in your land. End quote. So, fascinating piece of Torah, right? Let's just get on the same page here for a second. What did we learn? Put the commentary that's happening in your head aside for a moment, and just the brass tacks here. What did we learn about debt? And if folks at home want to chime in, you can also chime in, and you are able to unmute yourselves. What did we learn about debt? in the 7th year and the remission of debt?
Not sure.
Not sure. Okay.
It's almost as bad as legal language.
Okay.
For example, what is done? D-U-N.
What is done?
But I suppose on the 7th year, the debts are due.
The debts are due.
And come due.
They they come due.
Except
They're due. Yeah. Except. Sorry. go ahead.
if you can't pay them.
Right. So they either come due or they are due all along. And if you still have debts, then what happens? What's that? They're no more. The debts are no more. Yeah.
Done is to harass or bully.
Harass or bully.
That's good.
Done. Yeah. So you can't harass or bully the person. You can ask for the money, but then the 7th year comes and that's that. The money is it's gone. It's no longer yours. And you can't ask for it back at all. What else do we learn? What else do we learn about debt here?
Freedom mortgage doesn't work this way.
So what's that?
Freedom mortgage doesn't work. this way.
Freedom mortgage doesn't work this way. Okay. Yeah, Emily?
You're not supposed to not give a loan when you're approaching the Shemitah year.
Okay.
Because you don't want to forgive it in the 7th year. So you have to give a loan no matter where in the 7-year cycle you fall.
Did people at home get to hear that? No, not the 7th. Yeah, so you can't not give a loan when the 7th year approaches. Once the 7th year approaches, you still have to give that loan to the needy person. There's gonna be needy people, even on that 6th year, and they may require debt to help them out and get them through.
Debt here seems to almost be a form of. debt here
Just
seems
speak
to-
up nice and loud.
Okay, debt here seems to almost be a form of charity, as opposed to a business of issuing debt. It is almost treated as though it's a way of providing help to the needy.
Mhm.
Well, it's a sliding scale, right? You pay back what you can pay back.
Right.
That was good.
It's you could see it as a sliding scale if you wanted, but I think the idea is when you lend out the money, you're expecting it to come back, but on this 7th, in full. But at the end of the day, at the end of that 6 years, you may not actually get it back. So that's how I read it.
Great, you may not get it back if they can't afford it.
If they can't
Sliding
afford it.
scale.
Yeah. Any folks at home want to make comments? I'm sure little Samson has something to say. What do we learn about debt here?
I mean, it does seem to be a form of charity
It seems like a form of charity.
too, because if a needy person comes before you,
Yep.
you're told that you must give them a loan,
Yep.
even if you know that it's not going to be repaid.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
if the person wasn't needy?
What if the person is needy?
Who judges that?
It's a good question. My educated guess is that it was a little clearer then who was in need and who wasn't. And people knew people a lot more. We're talking about within the communities, people didn't travel as much, there wasn't as much movement. You knew who, and the Torah speaks about the kind of categories of the most needy. And I assume that there were others outside of those categories, but even still, that's the majority. Hold on, I want to get to some folks who are online. So Susan Bachner says, why a loan and not a gift? Okay, which I think is an interesting question. But it's not a gift. I think the expectation is that the person's going to pay it back. And we have from Mona, it means people can make a new start. It also justifies one's hesitancy to lend money. It and also reduces conditions in which there are needy among us. So interesting. So you give you give and perhaps it reduces. It doesn't exactly say that in the text, but you can go there. In fact, it says, in some ways, it might even say the opposite. If you go to verse 11, I find this to be one of the most striking parts of the Torah altogether, where it says, for there will never cease to be needy ones in your land. Ki lo yachdal evyon mikerav haaretz. Erwin. And again, folks at home, if you want to unmute, you can do so and share. Erwin.
I know a few rabbis who know this portion of the Torah very well. They still owe me money.
Lynn, did you want to say something?
Verse 11 struck me. I mean, for God that claims to be omnipotent and be able to take care of it, why are there always going to be needy ones?
Yeah.
But I give it strikes me as reality, and I also thought that if it was a gift, then verse 8 rather sounds like something Marxist. For me. Yeah.
Yeah, don't.
Not to judge any of the bankers or financiers in the room, but to me, it seems like an overlying theme or message might actually be trusting in humanity and trusting in the earth that we all walk on and share on, which negates gifting or lending money for something tangible. But it seems to me like that's an overall picture of forgiving when those are truly in need.
Mhm.
And there's something much more important about our lives and about the planet rather than monetary things. Such as perhaps some of us have learned what's more important and vital in our lives throughout a global pandemic. And yes, we need currency to survive, I suppose, but I think there's a much deeper message here about Kesher, about Tikkun Olam, about connecting humanity with the ground that we walk on.
Beautiful. Thank you, Doug. I just want to, 1 second, Emily. I just want to go to these questions that are on the back because I want us to think about it in the context of Shemitah, the Shemitah year. And I liked these questions that they raised. This is, by the way, this is a source by Chazon, a national organization that works with Jews to raise awareness around the environment and greening and climate change, etc. So why do you think forgiving debt and extending credit is linked with agricultural release in the full observance of the Shemitah year? How do you think economy and agriculture are directly related to one another?
It's bartering or consideration.
It's bartering or consideration, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
That's how they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that could be part of it.
Also, generally, the labor force, the laborers who are growing our food, our farmers, who make considerably less than people perhaps in other walks of life. So to forgive the people who are feeding your mouths might be some type of message there.
It'd be like a bonus.
Yeah.
Feel like make up for the idea that they can't farm and they can't make money that year.
So they can't farm for the year, right? We learned that about Shemitah. So how are you going to pay the debt back, right? Yeah.
Okay, so debt's a two-way street because if I forgive someone's monetary debt, I owe them a debt for allowing me to do them a kindness, right? So I owe them the debt for allowing them kindness. And the same goes with the earth. We care for the earth, but the earth cares for us. So there's that natural connection between the debt we owe to the earth, the debt the earth owes to us, the debt, the monetary debt to the debtor, and the creditor's debt to the debtor for allowing them to do kindness.
It's beautiful and very gracious. Like to think of the folks who are giving as also getting. Yeah.
Isn't that, but isn't that it? Like, if you do a mitzvah, aren't you indebted to the person you did a mitzvah for? Right? Like if I do a kindness to you, I'm indebted to you for allowing me to do the kindness. No?
I'm gonna just let that sit there. I don't know if I have a response. I mean, I think I'll put it this way. It's not a conventional way of how our society sees giving.
But isn't it how we, like, isn't
But
that
yes,
how
so
Judaism does it?
I don't know if we necessarily owe it to the person that we're giving it to, but it's seen as part of a cosmic give and get. Yeah, and that we are meant to do mitzvot, both out of obligation and out of love, and we receive a lot from doing so. Yeah.
I think the whole premise of debt is the opportunity for somebody who has to give back to the community.
Mhm.
And I don't know if this is a good example or not, but at my father's Shiva, 3 or 4 total strangers came to my mother, my brother and I, and told us how our father helped them in life and in business.
Mhm.
Total strangers, knew nothing about what my father had done for them.
Mm.
And I think that was debt that he never expected to get paid back for. And I think that is what the Jewish neshama is all about. And you have to, when, if you can participate, do so with an open heart.
That's
I would
beautiful.
have to agree with you. Selfless is the word that comes to mind, not owing the people that you give a mitzvah to.
But by the way, did anyone notice that when Erwin said neshama, which means soul, he pointed at his stomach? That's the most Jewish description of soul that I've ever heard. It's just too much. So we're gonna wrap up this conversation. And I want to point out, I loved everyone's comments. I want to make one last one. And it's about this line, beware lest you harbor the base thought, line 9. The 7th year, the year of remission is approaching, right? I think all of us have limitations to how much we're willing to give of ourselves. I think it's part of human nature. And the Torah precedes that comment, precedes those thoughts that the people were going to have, and says, you can have those thoughts, but don't act on them. And we know they may be there, but ultimately, we're meant to be generous. We're meant to be generous. And it's a practice. So every 7 years, we come back to it. Every Shabbat, we come back to it. Every mitzvah we do, we come back to it. That act of generosity. So Shabbat Shalom. And thank you all. We're going to turn to the back of our Sidurim, a prayer for healing, whether in body or spirit. I invite you to add the names of those in need of healing. Those at home, please add the names in the chat box. Mi shebeirach avoteinu mikor habracha leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, bless and heal.
Linda, Schiller, Valerie, Root.
All those mentioned here and in the chat box, Elka Sorba, Moshe Chaim Mindele, Yudit Baratzi Belvadia, Dina Appel, Devora Lieberman, Linda Schiller, Barbara Girk, Sarah Howell, Chaya Gila Bat Yonina, Uziel Keshet Yuda, Chava Mayan, Moshe Meir Bat Sarah, Ben Sarah, Binyamina Chava Bat Yisrael, Leah Nechama, Yisrael Ben David Bechanat Seal, Renee Insler, Steve May, Esther Bat Ephraim, Doris, Courtney and Ryan Percy, Camden Ostrowski. Along with all the ill among us, grant insight to those who bring healing, courage, and faith to those who are sick, love and strength to us and to all who love them together. God, let your spirit rest upon all who are ill and comfort them. May they and we know a time of complete healing, a healing of the body and healing of the spirit, speedily and soon. And let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We bless all those in need of healing. We bless you who support them. And we turn to the back of our cards, a prayer for Israel and a prayer for our countries. And Steve, would you be willing to come and read?
Prayer for Israel. Rock and Redeemer of the people of Israel, bless Israel in its pursuit of a flowering of redemption. Send your light and wisdom to Zion's leaders and advisors, and help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of all who work towards safety, justice, and democracy, crowning their efforts with success. Shield the land with your love, and spread over it your shelter of peace. May the time be near when all its inhabitants and neighbors dwell together in security and everlasting peace. And let us say amen. Amen. Prayer for our countries. Our God and God of all peoples, bless and watch over our countries, Canada and the United States of America. Bless our diverse inhabitants equally in the light of your presence, that we might build together a society based upon principles of tolerance, justice, and compassion. Inspire our leaders with your good counsel, that they may act wisely for the good of all our citizens and all peace-loving people throughout the world. May peace and security prevail within our borders and beyond, and let us say, Amen.
Here, Steve. Return your cards as we sing this prayer for peace. Olam chesed yibaneh. Olam chesed yibaneh. this world from love. I will build this world from love. You must build, and you must build this world from love. If we build, and if we build this world from love, then God will build. God will build this world from love. Olam chesed yibarech. As you're able, we rise for Aleinu, page 118. Aleinu leshabeach radon hakol, latet genula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu imoye haratzon, velo samanu imishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu imahem, v'kol aleinu kechol hamonam. Manachnu korim u'mishachachim u'modim l'fnei Melech malchei ha'olam hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed haaretz u'moshav yekaro b'shamayim ima'al Ushinaktuzo, Nekavei Melomi, Hu Eloheinu Eino, Emet Malkeinu Efesu Lato, Kakatu Betorato, Viadata Yom Shebota Elevavecha. Ki Adonai Hu Elohim, Bashamayim Imal, Ve'al Haaretz Mitachat Elon. Bottom of 120. Kakatu b'toratecha, Adonai himloch le'olam va'ed, v'nema, v'haya Adonai, le'melech al kol haaretz. Hayom ha'u, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo Please have a seat. In a moment, we'll say the mourner's Kaddish on page 124. This week in the life of our congregation, we remember Albert N. Solomon, father of David Solomon, Claire Rosenblum, mother of Stephen Rosenblum, David Tunick, son of James Tunick, Frances Rosenblatt, mother of Jackie Zellman, Fred B. Goldstein, father of Charles Goldstein, Harry Feynman, father of Doris Klein, Harry Moses Lazar, father of Rhoda Pinsky, Irving E. Gordon, father of Deborah Sherman, Jenny Rosenthal, grandmother of Amy Rosenthal, Leonard Friedman, grandfather of Karen Stewart. Rosalind Sussman, sister of Mark Sussman. Monte Aaron Feinstein, father of Ron Feinstein. Robert Dorfman, father of Ellen Yoskowitz and grandfather of Matt Yoskowitz. And Sigmund Weichel, father of Bernard Weichel. Are there any other yortzites in person, or for those at home, you can put it in the chat box. For those in mourning or observing yortzeit, please rise, page 124. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divra chirutei, ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon, v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach l'olam almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei tekudsha rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mrama hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May their memories be for blessing. A few announcements. First, one resource: families with annual income under $57,000 are eligible for the VITA program in Capstone's Morrisville office. You can call the tax hotline and they'll help you with your taxes. Also, the Lamoille Community House is looking for donations, and just outside of JCOG's, our housing task force is collecting those donations to bring over. This is running through next Friday. So if you haven't filled up that box, please help us do so. We're looking specifically for paper towels, paper plates and bowls, hot and cold cups, laundry pods, tissues, and disposable razors. So please help us out and help the Lamoille Community House. Tomorrow morning, we have, tomorrow we've got a few things going on. First, we have Kinderlachen Gesher tomorrow morning at 9:30 for the youngest little ones. We're online for that with stories and song and movement with me and Beth and our favorite friends. And we're going to be talking about Bikur Cholim, caring for the sick, which folks of all ages can do. So that's at 9:30 tomorrow. Mitzvah is meeting at 10 o'clock right here. So if you're in mitzvah or you need to drag your 12-year-old, come on down. That's also happening. And tomorrow night, I'm going to be leading a conversation with our Atid teens, and our teens are starting to help us distribute our tzedakah money. Speaking of giving, and so we're going to have a robust conversation. We've invited the teens to help us do so. That's tomorrow at 7 p.m. So come on down. On Wednesday, there is the Secure Community Network is hosting a webinar online, countering active threat training at 1 o'clock. And you are invited to do that. It's online, and it was in the email today to sign up for that, please. Wednesday from 5 to 6, we're having our fire and ice building festival right here outside of Jaycogs. For all ages, we're going to be building a colored ice sculpture that is representing the burning bush. It's going to be really fun. And we've got the ice out back. We're getting ready. It was a little too warm this week, so we had to postpone it. It's like, so yeah, it would have been like a slushy sculpture. So next Friday, we're here again, 6 o'clock, in person and online. And just looking ahead, we've got some very exciting things happening in March. Kara Rosenberg is having her bat mitzvah, and she's definitely not 13. This is an adult bat mitzvah, and we're very excited, and our mitzvah youth are going to be involved, and it's a Saturday morning service. So come on down for that, March 5th at 10 a.m. And then just looking ahead, Purim. We have 2 different events, one on the Wednesday, especially for families. I think it's the 16th, and one on the 18th. There's ski and ride Purim at Smugs, costumes and kosher food, and what's that? That's right, Smugs. The 18th, Friday, the 18th, at Smugs, and then we're ending off that day with with Brass Balagan, this klezmer and Balkan brass band that's going to be right here at Jaycogs with food and festivities. And I think the best part is that that Jaycogs is just about to be gifted a new Megillah. And Jaycogs' first Megillah ever, and it's being dedicated in honor of Michael Heitner. May his memory be for a blessing. And we are delighted that we're going to be reading from it on the Wednesday and on that Friday. So come on down. As always, for those joining us in person, just a reminder, everyone who comes in has to be fully vaccinated. That includes if you're eligible to be boosted and you bring your vaccination cards, please and thank you. And if you're not feeling so well, we'll bring you some chicken soup, but stay home. And there are other protocols as well. You can look those up online. And as always, our services are online too. So as we conclude, yes, Steve?
I wonder if you would just mention quickly the position of tzedakah historically.
I can. So the tzedakah committee is no longer, and so we are handing off part of the reins to the teens to help us decide on those matters. Does that do it for you?
Yeah.
Great. After, we have an amazing oneg. It's outdoors. It's quite balmy outside, and we have two heaters. And Patty made some delicious food. Sorry, we can't share it with you at home. Sorry, Susan. But we'll figure that out at some point, I'm sure. And afterwards, even if Patty says, no, you can't help, you keep helping. So please help Patty afterwards. Speaking of, Patty, don't run away. We want to thank some volunteers. Firstly, Patty Rubin for our delicious We Are Back on eggs. And also, if I got this right, the Rosenbaums and the Shermans for the use of their outdoor heaters. So thank you for that. All right. We are going to share some simchas. If anyone would like to share anything good. You know, you guys were very quiet during that discussion. So I want to start with the online folks here. And you have permission to unmute, share any simchas you'd like. Lots of skiing, but I want you to say it out loud, Susan. Unmute yourself. Let's hear some folks.
Lots of skiing this week.
Lots of skiing this week. Amen. Who else? Who else has a simcha? Anyone else at home? You don't need to raise your hand, just unmute yourself.
We spent last Saturday and Sunday with the Erickson family in Jeffersonville.
Yay. Yay to Vermont visits. Speaking of, I see another family, the Yoskos, have their whole crew with them, but they're off camera right now. So we like seeing Bubbies and Zadies connect with the family. Who else? Go for it.
Our aunt is here.
Yeah. Auntie Libby is here in town. She got over the border. No trucks were stopping her. I know. All right. Anyone else from home? Anyone in person? Yeah, please.
I have a new cousin.
A new cousin? Cool.
First of the generation.
Wow.
Not the youngest anymore.
Wow. You're not the youngest anymore. That's cute. Yeah, Mark.
My mother put your assessment in the Holocaust survivor is 89.
Wow. Your mother turned 89. Holocaust survivor. Amazing. Admea Vesrim to 120. In good health. Yeah. One sec, Dove. Yeah.
You may remember that I used to give numbers for the pages. of my new
Footnotes.
textbook.
Yeah.
It's in the publisher's hands. My new
Yay.
textbook.
New textbook. Amazing. Dova.
I just finished a 9-day residency at Goddard College
Oh.
for my Master's of Fine Arts.
Wonderful.
My son is heading off to Kenya to help with the Maasai lands. And my daughter's developing an app for dance therapy mindfulness.
Wow.
Whoa.
Whoa, wonderful.
Busy.
That's
Busy
great.
family. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we welcome the youngest in the family, but we also celebrated yesterday that my father turned 88 and is now the oldest person to ever live in his
Yeah.
family. So
Wow.
Great.
Mazel. Mazel. Beautiful.
That's great.
Good. Well, may we only know simchas. May we only know simchas. Let's make kiddush. Please rise. The words are on page 90. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah banu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'krason hinchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh bereishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, ter letziat Mitzrayim, ki banu bacharta, ve'otanu kidashta, im kol amim, ve'shabbat kodsecha, Yahava u'bratzon hilchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabat. Amen. Amen. Oh.
magic.
It is a magic. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Amoti Lechem Haaretz. Amen. Heavenly Shalom Aleichem. Heavenly Shalom Aleichem. Heavenly Shalom Aleichem. Heavenly Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Heavenly Shalom Aleichem. Heavenly Shalom Aleichem. Heavenly Shalom Aleichem. Heavenly Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Dove.
That was wonderful.